Mercedes drops bombshell on Hamilton after shocking U-turn. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Mercedes Toto Wolff admits huge change of plan over Hamilton F1 replacement. Toto Wolff has hinted at a change in pace regarding finding a replacement for Lewis Hamilton. The Mercedes team boss was left stunned at the start of the season when his star driver, Lewis Hamilton, announced he was leaving the team. Hamilton will join Ferrari in 2025, where he partners Charles Leclerc and leaves current driver Carlos Sainz without a race seat. Despite losing his drive, Carlos Sainz has demonstrated his worth to prospective F1 teams, standing on the podium of every race he has started in 2024, including a race win in Australia. Driver market speculation has been rife, with rumors Sainz could swap with Hamilton and go to Mercedes. However, junior driver Kimi Andrea Antonelli could scupper these plans, with Mercedes and Wolff heavily invested in the future star. Helmut Marko has told the press Red Bull have been in talks with Sainz, even suggesting that Audi have offered Sainz a lucrative contract. Toto Wolff has also responded to the pressure beginning to mount on signing Carlos Sainz by claiming the team were going to change pace. We're simply going to change pace. Stopping makes no sense. I've said we've been somewhat blindsided by some decisions, and I want to do the exact opposite now in terms of next year's decision, Wolff said to Sky Germany. And Carlos is doing a great job, there's nothing to say, and is someone we take into account. But as I said, that's not happening. It will happen in the next few weeks. Lewis Hamilton's start to his final season with the Mercedes squad could not have commenced in a worse way, and it seems to be ever clearer that there will be no successful swan song to see out arguably the greatest driver-team pairing in Formula One history. Mercedes has endured various struggles across the last 2 seasons, and it appears no closer to reeling in Red Bull after the opening rounds of the current campaign. Hamilton's best Grand Prix result came at the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix, where he crossed the finish line in 7th. The following 4 rounds have consisted of a trio of 9th-place results and a non-finish in Australia, adding up to the Briton's worst start to a season in his entire career. And it could get even worse from here. Hamilton's gloomy start to the season was given a hint of a breather during last weekend's Chinese Grand Prix as he qualified on the front row for the sprint race before finishing the shorter outing in 2nd place. But the brief glimmer was not enough to diminish what has been a dismal few weeks, and the 7-time world champion was bumped back down to reality soon after he crossed the line in 2nd, as he qualified towards the back of the grid for the Grand Prix. Hamilton's issues over 1 lap this year have been apparent in the fact he has outqualified teammate George Russell just once this season, while he is yet to take the checkered flag ahead of his compatriot. There was a strange exchange in China when Hamilton commented that his setup went in a very different direction to Russell's, a claim that the latter refuted. Whatever truly occurred and whatever is behind Hamilton's ongoing woes behind the wheel, nothing has swayed Hamilton from voicing his desire to see out his Mercedes tenure on a high note and provide his maximum effort until the very end. But just how realistic is such a scenario? Should Hamilton be confined to competing at the lower end of the top 10, a sense of resignation and a switch in focus could soon become a reality for him. While there is no reason to question his commitment, Hamilton is moving to pastures new next year, with a lucrative move to the Ferrari squad to pair himself alongside Charles Leclerc in what is one of the biggest driver transfers in F1 history. Very soon, the realities of the decision will kick in, and Hamilton will start to feel like something an outsider when he is phased out of meetings over the 2025 car. Such policies are traditional when any driver is leaving a team for a rival. But Mercedes has been his home, his nature even, for so long that it will create an unnatural scenario for him when he is not central to discussions. Throw in the prospect of circulating far away from the front-running competition, and the situation could soon get uncomfortable for Hamilton. The circumstance will soon turn into a frighteningly unfamiliar one for the 39-year-old. It could very well be the case that Hamilton hopes his final Mercedes outing comes sooner rather than later. As emotional as it will bring an end to the agonizing period that looks set to lie ahead. The second story is Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have new problem despite best Mercedes car since 2021. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell reported having the best-feeling Mercedes car since 2021 earlier this month, but that came at a cost. Mercedes's W15 car has proven to be just as temperamental as its predecessors. The Silver Arrows have spent the season so far experimenting with setups to try to unlock the most pace, with little significant success to date. Explaining their predicament, team boss Toto Wolff used this month's races in Japan and China as examples. At Suzuka, Mercedes discovered that they had unlocked significant pace in high-speed corners. However, that came at cost in the low speeds where gains made elsewhere were wipes away. So the effort and resources that had been put into making improvements had yielded no overall reward. Wolff explained, "In the high speed, we were super competitive, also in Suzuka through the S's, and it was day and night compared to what we had before. The drivers were speaking about it as the best car they had in the last 2.5 years. Then we really didn't perform in the low speeds. So you gain half a second in the high speed, but you lose half a second in the low speed. The equation is back to zero, so that is something we need to improve. We are beyond the point of understanding, and we just need to improve now. That is what it needs to hop to, and we have all the facts on the table. We know what we tweaked in order to solve the high speed, and we know where the car was before to be quick in the low speed. Now we just need to bolt the car together that does both of them." Russell agrees with Wolff's suggestion that a focus on development rather than on setups is the best way forward now. The Briton said, "The work needs to be back at the factory, and ultimately in F1, the more downforce you have, the faster you'll go. The setup is the cherry on the cake. I think there is no silver bullet. We just need to keep on adding performance and focusing on the basics, which is in the wind tunnel and in the CFD, just adding downforce. Maybe sometimes it's as simple as that. I think we've understood enough so far that we just need to add downforce. We've changed philosophies and we've changed concepts quite a few times now over the last 2 years. My personal view is that no matter what concept you're on, you just need to have as much downforce as possible, and you'll deal with the limitations thereafter. So yeah, let's see in Miami, we've got some upgrades coming to the car. Let's see what we can do with that." The third story is Mercedes to loan Kimi Antonelli to Williams prior to Mercedes' seat. Mercedes is reportedly planning to place their young prodigy, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, in a Formula One seat with Williams as an interim step before joining the Brackley-based squad. This move comes as part of a development pathway for Antonelli, who is currently too young to qualify for an FIA super license. According to Formula One journalist Joe Soward, the 17-year-old Italian racer might soon find himself behind the wheel at Williams Racing on an 18-month loan stint intended to groom him for a future Mercedes seat, as opposed to potentially taking over from Lewis Hamilton in the 2025 season. Antonelli's current status in motorsports is marked by his lack of an FIA super license, a mandatory credential for competing in F1 races. To qualify, drivers must be at least 18 years old, among other criteria. Antonelli, whose birthday is on August 25th, is on the cusp of meeting the age prerequisite. There might be a stretch to the FIA for a dispensation on age grounds, a scenario not entirely new in F1's recent history. Mercedes' interest in placing Antonelli directly into Hamilton's seat by 2025 underscores the high regard in which they hold their young driver. Antonelli has already been testing extensively in F1 machinery, including 2 days in the 2021 Mercedes W12 in Austria, followed by additional tests planned in the 2022 W13. Mercedes has a different problem. The team is currently assessing whether it's a good idea to put its prodigy Andrea Kimi Antonelli into Lewis Hamilton's seat in 2025. The 17-year-old Italian recently spent 2 days testing a 2021 Mercedes W12 in Austria, and a string of further tests is planned in the weeks ahead with a 2022 W13. The team seems keen to promote Antonelli, but is worried that this might be too big a step and that it would be better for him to get some time in a smaller team before joining Mercedes in 2026. Antonelli could be loaned out to Williams, which is looking for a driver right now. Williams would take Antonelli if they could have him for 18 months, but the problem is that he is not old enough to get a super license until August 25th, when he turns 18. Williams might try asking the FIA for a dispensation, given that Max Verstappen was fine when he entered F1 at the age of 17, and if a youngster has what it takes, then he should be allowed in. This is a fair argument. Williams Racing emerges as a logical stepping stone for Antonelli. With the potential departure of American driver Logan Sargent, Williams would benefit from a capable young driver like Antonelli. The arrangement also offers Antonelli a more gradual introduction to F1, mitigating the pressures associated with debuting in a top-tier team. Former F1 champion Nico Rosberg disclosed on a podcast that he and teammate Lewis Hamilton were financially responsible for crash damages during their time at Mercedes. Admitting it was painful to part with so much money when their intense rivalry resulted in crashes, Rosberg stayed humble despite his incredible income. Rosberg, the 2016 Formula One world champion, has recently shed light on yet another layer of complexity in his contentious relationship with former teammate Lewis Hamilton.